Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Policy and Projects Committee of the Athens in Motion Commission. It's been a while since we've met, but we have been very, very busy. We were super busy in late summer and fall with T-SPLOST stuff, so we were kind of meeting ad hoc, and we had several members, fellow Athens in Motion commissioners working with us. So it's just we had been meeting informally, but it's good to have a formal meeting again and to move on to our other items. Here's our agenda. This is an hour-long meeting. And as I said before we went live, I'd love to go around and do brief introductions because we have at least one new person. And then we'll go on to assigning, we'll do see if there's anything else we need to add to the agenda. I'd love to have an official minute taker. I would do it myself, but I can't lead the meeting and take notes. It doesn't work out very well. And we'll do some status on some other items, talk about bike lane ordinances, and look ahead to 2022. And our next meeting will be, of course, in January. So let's go around and do some quick introductions. I'm Lauren. It's good to see y'all. Happy to be on this committee where we do policy and projects. And so that means like bike ped, policy. So I'm trying to synthesize that into something that's a little more accessible. So laws and ordinances and best practices for creating a safer, more walkable, bikeable, rollable Athens-Clarke County. And I'm also chair of the Athens in Motion Commission, and I'm also on T-SPLOST 2023. Yeah. So, Aaron, you want to go next?
Sure. Thanks, Lauren. I'm Aaron Redman and member of Athens in Motion Commission, and just get started from the beginning. I was years ago, still, well, more then than now with the new job I have that takes me out of town a lot, but frequent bicycle commuter and pedestrian, and that got me involved with Bike Athens, local nonprofit, which got me into more bike policy, started talking to my commissioner, which got me into T-SPLOST, and then Athens in Motion, and did T-SPLOST 2018. Didn't have the gumption to sign up for it twice like Lauren, but we appreciate her doing so because she is a real expert in a lot of the policy here. So yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for sticking around. Yeah, and Carly, we have you on the line.
Yes, hi. I'm tromping around in the woods. It's my final monitoring visit of the day, so I'm listening, but I'm trying to be as active as I can, but I am out here in the woods, so you might lose me. But I'm Carly. I work at Athens Land Trust, so trying to get all of our monitoring done before the end of the year. And I'm also on the Oconee River Greenway Commission, and this is my first policy meeting, so I'm excited to sort of learn about what we do.
Thanks, Carly, and we're excited to have you on this committee. I guess we'll go with Taylor next.
Sure. My name is Taylor Worley. I work for the Terry College of Business. I do research on the Georgia economy, and I also ride my bike to and from work nearly every day, but not today because it was raining when I got up. So I have an interest in bicycle safety and infrastructure in Athens. And I'm also a part-time student. I expect to graduate with my master's in public administration next week. So I'm happy to be here. This is my second meeting on this committee.
Glad to have you, Taylor. And fun fact, Taylor and I work on the same floor, couple doors down. All right. And Daniel?
Yeah, I'm the bike and pedestrian and safety. I always do that. Bike, pedestrian, and safety coordinator for Athens-Clarke County. And I'm here to bring it all together, and staff liaison to the commission as well as all the committees. And fun fact, I actually knew Taylor from 2018, no, 16, 17, somewhere around then.
Sometime around there, yeah.
we hung around the same group of friends, so we've known each other for years, and we've hung out a few times, and so it was funny when you got added onto, I think, the first meeting. I was like, hey, what are you doing here? So yeah.
I think it's a minority of people in this group who don't know you, Taylor.
No, and even I knew Taylor from the MPA program, same as Carly. So our little MPA universe.
I know, I was gonna say, I don't know you, Taylor, but I just got my MPA. Well, not just, I guess. When was that? 2019. So
Congratulations, Carly. And also, Aaron is engaged to my childhood neighbor.
Small world.
Yeah.
Last but not least, welcome to Cole Scott. We're excited to have you in our Policy and Projects Committee today. And maybe after this meeting, maybe you'll want to come to future Policy and Project Committee meetings. No pressure. No pressure. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a student at UGA right now. I'm a first year studying risk management and insurance. But I really got into bike policy after watching some YouTube videos and stuff, and then I just got like down a rabbit hole. So I like really like bikes and stuff. So I'm not really a biker, but I ride my one wheel around a lot, and I feel like that's a lot in common. So yeah. Oh.
Your one wheel, is that one of those hover type boards? Like, what is that? Did I lose him?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too. Cole, can you hear us? Oh, looks like we lost his
Oh,
connection.
Man.
Well, I'm gonna Google it real quick.
yeah,
If you wanna
yeah.
go on to the next item.
Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to keep track of all the alternative modes of transportation that we have now. And for the record, I embrace them all as long as they're not spearheaded by venture capitalists. Um, so Cole, we were wondering what's a one wheel?
Okay, so sorry, my internet just cut out. But so one wheel, that's like it's an electric skateboard, but with only one wheel, and it like auto stabilizes like a Segway.
That's crazy.
That's what I thought. Cool, yeah. And I was just saying support all modes of alternate transportation. So excited to have you part of this group. And so you're on the risk management and insurance program. Isn't that like, don't we have the #1 RMI program in the nation or something like that at Terry? So Taylor and
Yeah.
I both work at Terry.
So there's your connection. You're in Terry as well.
Yes, I'm the web team lead. All right. Gosh, the world gets smaller and smaller. And I'm glad that we can all come together and work on these bike ped and safety issues. Daniel, I have to remember that you are also a safety coordinator too, and not just bike ped. All right, I'll pull back up the agenda. Are there any modifications or additions to today's agenda? Anything I left off?
Let me see. I think, was there an extra thing that I texted you about?
I think it was.
Let's see, launch goals. Oh, the complete streets. That's on there.
Yeah.
You got that. Yeah. And I guess as part of the bit about the no parking in bike lanes.
Yes. So that would be separate because I thought we talked in
We could,
general.
I'll intro with that. That'll be
Great.
good. Perfect.
Fantastic. I don't really think we need to approve the agenda. We haven't been approving the T-SPLOS agenda, so I don't think that's a necessary like Robert's Rules of Order thing actually for a committee this small.
Yeah, and I'll say that like I think we are doing amazing by just having this streaming on the website. So, because not all committee meetings of other commissions get on the website.
Right. So I need someone who will take minutes for us, and they can really just be action items. Blaine Note style. Blaine Van Note style is great. He's our secretary for the Athens in Motion Commission. Would anyone be willing to do that? My cat is not volunteering either.
I'm assuming Carly is not going to be able to do it.
If I wasn't tromping around in the woods, I would.
I
Very
can do it. So what do you mean by Blaine note style? Like a
Oh, like just like bullets is fine.
Oh, okay.
So take
Yeah.
a record of like if there were any votes. So
Gotcha. Yes.
you could even make a copy of the agenda and just be like, we did this, then this,
Yeah.
and we did this. That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just grab a notepad. I'm more apt to write them down first and then type them up.
Okay, yeah. Thanks a lot, Aaron. All right, so status on items. So this is like, I guess what we would call old business. T-SPLOST projects, the Athens in Motion Commission, as we talked about earlier, we submitted 5 projects to be considered by the T-SPLOST Advisory Committee, and 4 out of 5 of those projects are on the committee's candidate list. I just submitted the candidate list presentation to the clerk of courts in my role as T-SPLOST chair. So I'll present that to the Mayor and Commission next Tuesday. So our only project that didn't get on there was neighborhood small sidewalks, and that's that's okay because there were actually a lot of neighborhoods and communities across Athens that submitted their own sidewalk projects. So while it would be ideal to have a program like that, I think that those individual projects will fulfill that need in Athens. And I see Teresa is signing in. Yes. And so our projects that got on the list, welcome Teresa, is a multi-use path along Lexington from Gainesville Cherokee to connect to the Firefly Trail with design for further multi-use path out to Whit Davis. Very excited about the opportunity for safety and connectivity along Lexington. It's much needed. And then the committee also is currently funding the full amount that we requested for Atlanta Highway facility. So that could be sidewalk bike lane, that could be multi-use path, the accessibility improvements project. So pedestrian accessibility improvements. So we're getting the exact name of it, but the ADA sidewalks project made it on there. So that's improvements to existing sidewalks where we have telephone poles in the way or where we could improve ramps and whatnot, and also work with the community to figure out what would make our infrastructure more usable by all. That's also currently on the list. And then last but not least, the alternate version, so $16 million for some top priority projects from our bike and pedestrian master plan. Of course, we have like 75 top priority bike ped projects, but this will allow us to do maybe like 3 to 6 of those in addition to Atlanta Highway, Lexington. So y'all, this is very exciting. Of course, the mayor and commission are going to tweak this, so try not to hold on to this too much. But I'm hoping that we'll be able to get all those projects intact before voters in May. So thank you all for your hard work. Finally, the complete streets policy rewrite. I think we want to figure out a work session that we want to present at and work backwards from there as far as the timeline goes. Does that sound right, Daniel?
Yeah, and I can just give a little bit of an update there. So we talked with Blaine, and just to remind everybody, we wanted to review it by him since there were some things within the complete streets policy that called on the city manager to do as part of complete streets. So we wanted to make sure that he was comfortable with implementing or basically having those types of things outlined for him, and he is. So since he is okay with that, we've discussed internally, and there are also some expectations that we're going to have as staff, which we're also okay with, obviously, since we were here for the whole thing. So we're ready to basically get in touch with, I believe it's Cynthia, to figure out a day, to just figure out when we want to get into work session and agenda setting. So, yeah.
Just for clarification, you said there's going to be a staff member basically assigned to oversee Complete Streets?
So no, so essentially what the requirement lays out from, and this is kind of like dumbing the whole thing down. When we have a city project such as an intersection improvement like the West Broad Roundabout, we would, staff would be required to explore alternatives to provide both bike and pedestrian access at that improvement, or provide justification as to why we did not do complete streets on that improvement. So right now, our workflow is kind of, oh, hey, like I noticed that that wasn't included here, so I'll use the West Broad Roundabout. I recently brought up that there's a segment of multi-path where there's some existing bike lanes on Hancock, but there was not any other multi-use path around the rest of the circle. And as we were discussing it, it's like, well, whatever infrastructure comes in for bikes and pedestrians from all directions, like we do have sidewalks, but we don't have any multi-use path. So we know that we would need infrastructure at some point. So we're either going to have to go in and tear out these retaining walls, or we'll have to, kind of demo the sidewalk and then re-pour a multi-use path, because no matter what, we're going to have something. So we are now, since we're like at 85%, we're going to go back to almost like the concept level stage where we need to re-explore it, and hopefully we can get some stuff in. We may have to search around for a different pot of money to pay for that aspect, but those types of change orders, we want to reduce that as much as possible. Does that make sense? So it's not necessarily that we'll have a staff person, it's just that staff are required to consult with me on all of these various things to make sure that we're looping in the project. And then not only just consulting with me, but we have to outline, hey, this met in this way, or it did not meet in this way in the agenda item.
That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, so Daniel, at this point, are we thinking like the January work session or the February work session?
Okay, so that is where I think to move forward, it kind of depends on where you guys want to be in terms of putting together the presentation and, outlining this in a way where you can give like the 1-minute elevator speech almost, but the 10-minute, work session presentation for what this complete streets policy is, what it was, like kind of creating that outline and then presenting it. And then checking with Cynthia in the manager's office, or the clerk's office, sorry, to determine when we could get on the schedule. Because it might be that there is availability in January, but then it might also be something where the first thing is in March. I don't really know. We'll have to talk with her.
Okay, yeah, let's get some clarity on that. I know that we spent so much time on that policy that we would really like to keep it moving, but I think January might be a little full. So, I think I'd be down for February, and they may not have any space until February anyway.
Yeah.
But this would be for mayor and commission presentation?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And I forget, yeah. I'm presenting at a work session. Okay, yeah. Okay. So I guess we'll wait to hear from you, Daniel, about what session might be available or ideal
Oh,
when you hear from Cynthia.
I guess I was thinking you guys would reach out to Cynthia, but I could.
Oh. Okay. So, what's
I'm not
Cynthia's
really.
last name?
How do y'all usually? Do we usually handle the work session stuff for you guys? I guess so. I think it's Lambright. I'll send an email. I wasn't. I'm still learning new things. So
Yeah, no, and like official communications, I think that does come from us. So let's figure it out, Daniel, and I'm happy to send out the email if that seems to be the most appropriate thing to do. I certainly don't want to put it on you if it should come from us.
yeah, let's do this. I'm gonna send you an email right now with her email address,
Great.
and then you can just CC me on that so she knows that staff are involved.
Okay. All right. So at this point, Blaine is okay with it with the complete streets policy. So it's now appropriate to seek out a work session for us to present the complete streets policy.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, and from that point, the mayor and commission, they'll decide what to do with it, or will they send it to one of their committees, like the legal one or government operations or something like that?
Great question. I mean, so I think for the most part, this complete streets policy is mostly a TPW document. Transportation Public Works for the web folks. Um, because it is that and not, I don't think it's a government-wide policy, and so it doesn't necessarily have to go through those stages. But I would say that it we can have our recommendation of what is done with it, but that really is up to them. If they want to send it through a committee, I don't see why they couldn't do that. So um, it's kind of like Barber Street, right? Like we have our Athens in Motion recommendation. Like here's all the information. Here's what we did. Here was our product. Um, you know, do you have any questions? You know, and then from there, the work session will be when we're discussing. They can ask questions kind of on the fly, and we can answer those as needed. And myself and Stephen will both be there as well. And from there, then it would either go into their consent agenda or in their work session. Like this would be during their agenda setting session, they determine what to do with the policy, either consent, discussion, hold off on voting, send it through a policy committee, those kind of things.
Gotcha. All right, we'll figure that out. Okay, next up on our agenda, bike lane ordinances. And Cole, I know you have a presentation for us. So while you're getting that together, we had two other committee members, two other Athens in Motion commissioners join us. So Mark and Teresa, could y'all briefly introduce yourselves? We did go around when you all weren't here, so would love to have the Twitter version of your introduction. Mark, would you like to
prefer to
start?
give a more lengthy introduction, really something to get to know me a little better.
Facebook post.
I'm Mark Abel, I'm a professor at
TikTok.
UGA in the College of Public Health and member of the Athens in Motion Commission.
Well, I think I'm going to do an interpretive dance. Teresa Friedlander, Vice Chair of Athens in Motion, and also I served under Lauren's fearless leadership on the T-SPLOS 2023 committee. So yeah, I like to do a lot of meetings, it seems. So here I am.
Thank you all for making it. Daniel, does Cole have the ability to share his screen?
He should.
Okay.
Would you like to do that, Cole?
Sure.
Excellent. All right, and I'll probably just start off with a brief intro. So yeah, Cole reached out to me. He was interested in learning more about bike policy and volunteering for, Athens-Clarke County. And so we set up this internship, and his main project here is to research the ordinances that we currently have regarding bikes in Athens, and then we picked a series of peer communities based on some different criteria, and then he researched their ordinances, and he kind of created this table. It's really awesome, and it links directly to the ordinance, and it kind of shows you what are other cities doing, what are what are we doing that others aren't, that kind of thing. And then from there we could we also discovered some pretty cool things in the league for the American League for Bicyclists, I think. Our one of our goals in Athens in Motion was to become a silver friendly bike community. I'm probably butchering that, but basically silver level. We're currently bronze and we need to renew it like ASAP. They extended the deadline due to COVID. So we have some time, but ours was supposed to expire last year. So our goal was to be silver community by 2020, and we're in 2021, and I think we're just aiming to make sure that we keep bronze at this point. So we really want to have a plan moving forward of what we could do to attain those goals, and some of the goals include those bike ordinances. Where this all started, we were having a roadway safety audit with traffic engineering, and I was talking to one of my coworkers over there, Mike Dunbar, I believe, and he said, it's not illegal for people to block bike lanes. And I was like, really? And we looked around, and I did a little research and talked to some people and commissioned the help of John Devine at Georgia Bikes. He's the executive director over there. And looked through our ordinances and ran it by our attorney's office, and we all agreed, it's not a law at the state level, and we don't have anything within our code that prohibits parking in bike lanes. The only things that would prohibit are yellow curbing or signs, and you can't always have yellow curb within a bike lane, especially if there is parking, on-street parking, or parallel parking, such as downtown. So we threw together some wording from Atlanta. I found John helped me find some language from Atlanta where they use for their ordinance, and we've put that through to Blaine, and he's supposed to be sending it along to Mayor and Commission to get on their agenda. And hopefully this is kind of a dipping the toe in the water to see. It's a pretty simple adjustment where it's just you can't park in bike lanes. And we'll see with how difficult this is, we can get a good gauge of where the difficulty will be on some of these other ordinances that we might be interested in. So I'm going to let Cole take it away, and he can kind of talk about his experience in the research and what he's put together, and then we can have a discussion and maybe come up with some ideas of the types of ordinances that we'd like to see. So go ahead.
All right, yeah, sure. So I'll share my screen. If I go here, so this is the worksheet that I put together. So what we did originally was we just went through and found different bike-friendly cities, like made a list of which ones were pretty bike-friendly. So that included like Eugene in Oregon, and those were like on the national level, which ones are really bike-friendly. And then we wanted some regional ones. So we have Knoxville, Columbia, and Gainesville and Chapel Hill. So these are all regional, also university cities with like a similar population. So we decided to use those. And then we have local Georgian cities. And then what we did was I went through and I typed in bicycle and all their Municodes, and then just wrote down all of the bike policy that they have. I took out different things that like weren't really relevant. Like Athens-Clarke County they say that they won't boot a bicycle, which something like that I just didn't use, but then everything else I put in. And then, so we have this list. I think the cities to really look out for is Gainesville. That is a silver level bike award from Bike League City, but it has an excellent within its bike laws, like on its report card, it has an excellent. So I think that's something we can mirror. And then again with Eugene, they also have the excellent. I know
And
Eugene.
that's Gainesville, Florida. To be
Yes.
clear.
Okay, yeah. And then
confused for a minute there.
and then for Eugene, Oregon, it does look a little sparse, but I think that that's because a lot of their ordinances might be under Oregon law as opposed to just within the city. Because if you look at Athens-Clarke County and all the other Georgia cities, they look like they don't have a lot. But if you go and look at Georgia laws, you see that there's a lot of stuff not accounted for because it's in the Georgian laws.
Okay.
And are there any questions?
What most surprised you in your research on these ordinances?
Yeah. What surprised me most, probably, so a lot of these other cities have a lot of city planning, and then down here like zoning ordinances and stuff. All of them like talk about whenever they're developing a new like road or something, they always consider bike policy or like bike roads and I feel like that really would help when you're making a city, like every single time you're constructing something new, bike routes are in your mind. And over time, you're just going to get that better bike infrastructure. So that's why cities like Eugene are just so bike friendly, because every single time they're doing something, they're thinking about the bike policy, the bike roads.
Oh,
Now,
this
is that
really awesome? I'm sorry, Lauren. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if this is the same as a complete streets policy or something in addition to or separate from, like the
So
considerations of bike routes during city planning.
yeah, so I'll just click on one of these. So in Gainesville, like,
And I'll stop talking after that. I'm sure some other members
yeah,
want to.
okay, so here's like when they're planning development purposes for, this is specifically suburbs, I think. So I think that it does look like complete streets, but it just says that they're gonna do strategies with pedestrian and streets and sidewalks and stuff. So that is pretty complete streets, but it doesn't say that. And then I really like Eugene's. Theirs is just during like improvements and specifications, they just specifically bike paths. They just put it right in there when they're working on improvements. So
Yeah, Teresa, you had something you wanted to ask?
Yeah, first I wanted to just say this is really amazing. I'm so impressed with what you've done here, Cole. So thank you for that. I'm looking at line 37 and it says, no, not line 37. Oh, here it is, line 33. Promotion of zero biking fatality plan. I love the sound of that. Do we know what a zero biking fatality plan might look like? And is it possible to get something like that here in good old Athens?
Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad you asked.
Is that Vision Zero?
I think so.
yeah, this one says Vision Zero
So
for Cambridge.
I am right smack in the middle of writing up a position request description for a Vision Zero safety specialist. We've already talked with the manager, and we are looking at hopefully this, I guess, end of fiscal year when they're talking about the budget, we'll find out. I know that there's a lot of people are asking for positions all across the government, but we've really been holding off on creating and implementing a Vision Zero plan until we have someone who can actually do that full time. They would obviously have a lot of other jobs as part of that implementation, but that's kind of one of the main things we would want that individual to really have a say in the development of that plan as well.
So Daniel, just help us understand a little bit about what it might look like, a Vision Zero plan.
I don't think I could paint a very good picture for you right now. You know, a lot of what we're talking about with the justification of that position is, you know, the awareness that traffic fatalities are on the rise. We're at the highest on record, according to our records. So it's not, you know, we don't have, you know, records going back to the 1900s or anything, but I think across the nation there's increase in more traffic fatalities, and so some of the things that we discuss about this Vision Zero specialist position would be potentially, so they would head up our roadway safety audits. So right now I'm charged with coordinating those, but I can really only do, you know, 2 or 3 a year. This person, you know, we would work this out in the Vision Zero plan, but you know, we've talked about potentially doing once a month a roadway safety audit. There's also fatality response team that could basically, if there's a traffic fatality, we have a process set up. We currently have a process that we follow, but you know, we can't really, it's not down on paper. You know, and we try to follow up with every single fatality, but this would really document it, put it down. There'd be, you know, data, and they would be charged with coordinating that team. So it would save our other staff positions a little bit more time as well. So it would save me some time, it would save traffic engineering some time. And so we would have a put together plan of, you know, what do we do when there is a traffic fatality in terms of what type of improvements, or, you know, basically a mini roadway safety audit when that happens. It would also, you know, we've been discussing implementing some safety corridors in Athens, working with police department to put those in. So this position would also help coordinate that. There would be some safety education aspects to their position. The best thing I would say for a full picture of what a Vision Zero plan really calls for, if you look up just Vision Zero initiative, I think that is, there's like a nationwide kind of framework that you can basically become a Vision Zero community. The most simple explanation is the vision is 0 deaths, traffic fatalities.
So it sounds like what you're saying is your person, hopefully you'll get to hire this person, will help you develop the plan that fits Athens.
Right.
Okay, that sounds good to me. We need it.
Yeah, and they're typically called Vision Zero action plans, and there's a whole bunch of them.
I want to ask, what level silver bronze is Knoxville? Because it looks like their bike policies are well codified here just by sheer number. Curious about that.
I think that they were just good last time I checked. Here, I can.
Yeah. And is that because
So
like
they
they're
were
picking up
bronze
their-
and they got good. So this is also from 2018, so they might have just updated them all recently. But I did think that was strange that they were only good when I looked at it. But I think now they might be.
That's only one aspect is the laws, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so that's just the laws. And then overall they're a bronze.
Mhm.
And
maybe Tennessee doesn't give a lot of state support, and so they're making up for it as a city, but it's not quite enough to push Knoxville into silver or something.
Well, and you know, from what it was told to me, there's a lot of different things that go into your score. There's the average silver, but that doesn't mean that like you need to meet like that particular thing. Because we actually, if you go down bike program staff to population, you can see right there it says the average is 1 per 78,000. And then the next one for bronze, the average is basically around that number as well. You know, we have 1 bicycle staff to our current population, which I think
This is
is
Athens-Clarke
31.
County in 2016.
Yeah. So so yeah, 1 per 240,000 is what we have. So
Yeah, I mean, we've got like, we're the only full-time permanent standing bike ped commission in the state of Georgia. I feel like we're like definitely silver. Like,
For the
right?
Knoxville, it said 35% was the average silver for high-speed roads with bike facilities.
and I mean, some of this also might just be data collection where we're really we need to. And I am, you know, we're doing a lot of data collection. We actually have an intern that we're about to hire, or not one in particular, but my GIS intern, she got another position, so we are going to be hiring someone to do that data collection through the GIS office, and they're going to be able to kind of expand our data set that I've been working on. So, you know, with that, we'll be able to see, okay, you know, here are our arterial roads, and you know, here are all the bike things, and honestly, I mean, that's why, like, Athens in Motion tiered the critical corridor so high, because you know we really need Atlanta Highway, Lexington Road, like those are those corridors where we need bike facilities. So
I remember kind of different way of looking at this too is Tyler Dewey, when he was with Bike Athens, he was talking about um, not necessarily pushing for a higher rating with this until we got more on the ground infrastructure in place, because he didn't want, like, you know, commissioners or transportation folks to be like, well, we're silver rated, we're really good, so, you know, done deal, we don't need to do anything else. And so he wanted to kind of be able to use it as leverage until we actually got more you know, more facilities in place.
I think it would be interesting to look at similar communities, similarly sized communities that are university communities in this list here, and then compile, you know, maybe a table of, you know, what are each of those communities hitting on these metrics and how do we compare? Because I think sometimes people think, oh, we have all this great infrastructure, and we're really lag behind a lot of comparable communities.
Well,
Yeah.
what we have isn't fully integrated either, so, you know, you can ride safely
Right.
for, you know, a few hundred feet on one road and a few hundred feet on another, but getting to connect the two, that's the problem.
Yeah, Cole, so I think at least one or some of your cities in this list are college communities. Like, isn't Gainesville, Florida,
Yeah.
college?
Yes,
too?
that's where
Yeah,
US is.
Gainesville. I think these all like Knoxville, that's the University of Tennessee. Columbia is the University of South Carolina. And then
Eugene is
Gainesville is the
University of
University of
Oregon.
Florida.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I think the big thing, so to bridge
Hold
those two things, we specifically looked at ordinances here, but Mark, I think if I'm not mistaken, you were talking about looking at all of those various metrics of, you know,
Yes.
and really comparing all of the criteria.
Yeah, getting a sense of how are we doing, you know?
Mhm.
And this is the great information, and it'll be really helpful as we try to craft better local, you know, ordinances. But I think in terms of seeing how we're doing and making the argument that we need to do more, I think it could be helpful to see how we compare with Ann Arbor and, you know, Gainesville and Chapel Hill and places that we see as sort of peers and regional peers, especially if you look at Chapel Hill, Gainesville would be particularly interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, we may be doing better. Who knows? Then we can hide that information. No, just kidding. But if we're doing worse, it could help strengthen an argument. That's all.
I have a feeling we've got a lot of improvement to do, Mark,
I know.
before we can get our rating up to silver.
I agree.
So we have a couple minutes left on this. Cole, I have two more questions for you. What trends did you notice as you were looking through the municipal codes, for codes that were like expanding beyond not just including a bicycle? So something like I see that we have, there's the prohibition on shareable dockless mobility devices. Are other cities addressing other modes of transportation like skateboarding, like scooters, like the one wheel? Did you notice anything that stood out to you?
Um, so I did notice things like that here and there, like Eugene specifically. They had like certain regulations on the micromobility. I think that's the word that they use for it. But I didn't see a lot of that because how I found all of these policies is I typed in bicycle, so any bicycle keyword is what I saw. So I so with the micro or with the shareable dockless ones, we have an exception for bicycles in Athens-Clarke County. So that's why I stumbled upon that one. And then I went back and looked in all the cities because I did think that that was relevant. So I did go back and look at all the cities, and that's why I found out with like Macon, I don't think they have an exception for bicycles. So I wouldn't have seen it through my first look.
And that's an exception for e-bikes, right? I believe.
I I think that was specifically related to like the program that the University of Georgia was working on to have it was when we had gotcha in with the rentable bikes, and then ACC was potentially going to tap into that program as well. And that had been in the works for many, many years.
Yeah.
Okay. And then finally, Cole and maybe Daniel, like, what do you recommend for next steps with regards to this information? Where else are you going to look anywhere else? Or do you want us to look somewhere else? What are our next steps here? This is really a great thing to have.
Well, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it to you guys. There's plenty of time. He was kind of scratching the surface and has gone pretty deep in the amount of time that we've been working on it. I think it's only been like a month and a half or so. And so I was really impressed at how quickly this has been put together. But I wanted to run it through you guys to kind of get your feel for it. Because I want to make sure that we're not just kind of doing our own thing. I want to get ideas. What do y'all see as the next steps? Like, I think ultimately our in-game goal here would be to have an action item framework for here are the ordinances that we really want to seek. Here's our low-hanging fruit, mid-range, long-range, and then really exploring kind of like moving through and actually starting to address and get each of these things so that we have some actionable things that we can do and not just talk about it.
When you
Great.
say an ordinance, Daniel, do you mean one specific thing, like all bicyclists must wear a helmet? Would that be one ordinance?
Yes.
Or would you look for, okay, so we might want to make a list then of ordinances that we want to make sure are in place.
And there's varying complexities too, right? So in some of these cases, like for the one that I mentioned earlier, where no parking in bike lanes, that is a really easy fit of like, here's one sentence, we drop that into item E on, 10-8- whatever, and that's pretty simple. When you get into some of these other ones, like the Idaho stop, is that the right state? Okay, uh, that gets a lot more complicated. Not only with where it goes, but how are we going to gauge this? I think that's something worth exploring, but that's kind of where I think it would be helpful for us to have a larger discussion. And so I think personally, next steps, if y'all feel like this list is pretty complete, I can go ahead and forward it to the committee and you all can kind of pour through it. If you have any ideas for what you'd really like to see added to this, we can do that. You know, right now we have Georgia laws and we have 4 Georgia communities, including ourselves. You know, do you want us to add in the North Carolina and the Florida and South Carolina, like all those other states, so we can get a full picture of them, or is this enough and we want to move more towards like what Mark was saying and kind of look at the bigger picture of here's our silver tier that we're going for and here are the different action items and prioritizing that. So
I think some of these too, we need to make sure we're not spinning our wheels, because I know like the Idaho stop one, I think that has to be really a state level, you know, law, and we can't just in Athens-Clarke County change the rules on stop signs. So I guess just kind of making sure that we're going down the right path and pursuing ordinances that we can actually change in Clarke County, or add, I should say.
You know, in terms of what I had mentioned, I could, if you could send me the link to that site, specifically where the city-specific data was in terms of how they ranked compared with the average silver for that size community, I could pull out a couple of, you know, comparison communities and just take a look at what that looks like as sort of a pilot project. Just let me know. If you can send me the link, I'll do that.
yeah, and I do want to show this image that really spoke to me because I'm a graphics person. Can you all see the screen?
Yep.
All right, so you got bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. And then these are all of those different types of kind of metrics and what the average response is here. So this is a pretty cool graphic and it shows you that like, okay, we're in bronze and we don't necessarily meet all of these criteria, but this is the average of what bronze people meet. So if we you know get into silver, like this is a good goal to set, especially if our goal is to get platinum by 2050. Then you know we can really start setting up some metrics, and this is something where just within staff, I am adding in a lot of these specific measurables to our quarterly metrics. If our goal is to become, you know, a bike-friendly community silver level, then we should really be measuring these things accurately every quarter and tracking that increase so we can really look at the progress and we can estimate accurately in our next update, you know, instead of saying, okay, in 4 years we're going to be silver. Well, you know, maybe 2020 wasn't the right goal to set for a silver ranking. Maybe it needs to be, you know, 2025 or 2030. And then maybe why stop at platinum or gold, like at 2050? Why not try to go for diamond? So I think if we can look at our projections of like our metrics over time, then that'll help us kind of establish where we are aiming for and how we can improve to get there. But that being said, yeah, I will go ahead and send this link as well as some of the others. Do y'all have any other things that you really wanted to add? I think this is that same spreadsheet, so probably harder to see. Let's see.
Yes, this is great. I want to kind of, I love that everyone has some thoughts about where to go with this, and that Mark, you have a direction you want to take there. I kind of want to just look at this, especially some of these like bicyclists as a vulnerable road user, maybe make a wish list, and maybe we can look at that and kind of come back together and see where we have common interest, or maybe y'all have some insight, like Aaron noted that one of these is just the Idaho stop one's going to have to be a state thing. And then maybe, I don't know, Cole or Daniel, if you have time for this, but I am curious about what other laws might be out there that are for a little bit broader and refer to micromobility, because I think that's the direction we're moving. I know that's different than, you know, the League of American Cyclists, but I think the reality is that people are going to start choosing the method of micromobility that works best for them. And that we're really, what that means is we're just going to need more infrastructure. And I think that that's a good thing.
Hey, Lauren,
Yeah.
I think you're really thinking ahead about what's going to happen to a lot of people my age, which is that pretty soon we're going to be riding those little scooters on the sidewalks because we can't walk anymore. So yeah, micromobility amongst us baby boomers will become a thing.
Yeah. I mean, for all users. And I mean, who knows what happens to any of us as far as our ability to move is concerned, whether we're older or younger.
Mhm.
So
And I
absolutely.
know that our micromobility, like specifically the one that talked about bird scooters, I know that was updated sometime in the last couple of years, and so um, that's something where I think if we can get an idea of the priority list that you guys want to see, like if that's your top priority, then we can set up meetings. We can kind of almost the same way we did the projects for T-Splosh, like we can have point of contact on these things, and we can have work teams, and we can have a meeting with the attorney's office to say, hey, this is something we really want to see happen. What is your opinion on this? How realistic is it? And what we could possibly do too is, so my vision for kind of next steps would be you guys can look through this and find kind of your own personal priority list. And then maybe we could have a specific meeting just about ordinances, and we can discuss maybe our priorities, but I could also get someone from the attorney's office to come, and I could try to get someone from the attorney's office to come to our next meeting, and they could answer some of these questions. And so if I get a list of questions ahead of time, I think they'll be a lot more comfortable coming to that meeting and answering those. Um, Alternatively, if we can't get someone to come to the meeting, we can decide on a set of questions, and I can send those along and get them answered. So, um, and Stephen will have a good idea for how that can move forward as well. But I think in our January meeting, if we want to go ahead and set that up, that would be a good plan. If you guys agree.
Are you talking about having the attorney's office send someone in January?
Potentially, yeah. So if we all look through all of these and get our personal opinions on them before we come up with a group list, I think it would be helpful to know, if we all agree that, yeah, Idaho stop's the way to go.
I'm gonna suggest this because even though January seems like a long way away, I feel like the month is a little packed. So I'm wondering if we can process this together and then have another discussion at our next policy meeting and then come up with a list and then send that to the attorney's office and see if we can get them in on the February
Okay,
meeting. Is that okay?
absolutely.
Yeah, and that would be great. I love this synthesizing of all these laws and just being able to see this in one place of what we have and then what's possible is just tremendously helpful. I really appreciate this, Cole. Will you be joining us for future meetings if we continue with this?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, we're great. We'd love to have you. Yeah. Okay, guys. I know we're over time. I had put tentatively that our next meeting date would be January 12th. That's a Wednesday. Sound okay? Okay.
Yes. Let me get my calendar up. And I did want to know, so forwarding the stuff along, do you want that to go to the commission, like listserv, or just the committee? Um,
I guess it can go just to the committee. That's fine.
okay. Uh, Getting to my calendar. All right, January 12th.
Yes.
All right. Do we want to do 5 to 6?
Yeah, let's go ahead and make it 6:15. I think we're always running a little bit over, and if anyone needs to dip out before then, that's okay.
And we have a Prince Avenue user group meeting from 3 to 4:30.
Okay.
So Mark, are you good with those kind of back to back? Not quite back to back, but you got 30 minutes in there.
Isn't it thrilling, the back-to-back meetings?
My favorite.
He's shaking his head. Yeah.
He's not even gonna respond. All right. Anything else y'all wanted to cover?
Try to get these minutes out probably tomorrow or this weekend.
Yes, that's so helpful. Thank you, Aaron.
Yeah, I didn't sign up for every time, right? That was just this time.
Yeah, I guess that was just this time. Look at someone else next time.
Thanks.
And
Do
we'll
round
have
robin.
access to Cole's spreadsheet. Will that'll be in the email too?
I'll send that separately. So
Okay.
yeah. And I do want to make sure I get everyone from the meeting. So Teresa, do you have a preference in which email, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter. It all goes to the same inbox.
Okay.
Although I think that WebEx likes the TCKK one better. I don't know. It doesn't matter me personally, but maybe the system likes TCKK, so it's shorter anyway.
Great. That's the one I already typed in. So
Okay, good.
all right. I've got that squared away, and yeah. Thanks for everyone's time.
Cole, have you gone through finals yet?
They start tomorrow.
Oh, fun.
Okay. Was today reading day? No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good luck with your
Thanks for
finals.
being here. Wow. We
Yeah.
appreciate that so much.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Woohoo, you're making a difference already.
Yes, you are. We appreciate it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out late. Next time we'll meet for an hour and 50. A great night.
You
All right.
too. Bye.
Good night.